Hello everyone, today I'll be making a tutorial on how to create these small beaded Christmas tree earrings. With the hooks, depending on which type you use, they're just over 1.5 inches long. And the things you need to create this are use a fire line, 6 pound. I'm going to use about 3 feet of this. Then I'm going to use an open-eyed beading needle. This is about 2 inches, this needle, and I'm just going to thread the needle. Then I also am using 2 wire guards. For the next ones I'm going to use these little hoop clips. Then I'm also using 11-0 Mikyuki green seed beads. Weaving projects. The Mikyuki beads are very uniform in shape. These out of the way, and then for the Christmas tree decorations, I'm using some few red. These are kind of a pearlized 11-0 red seed bead. And for the base, I'm using some brown. There's just 3 rows required of that at the bottom. And then I have some jewelry pliers for later on. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this project, which is a 2-drop brick stitch. And the way I start the project is I do the first 2 rows at one time. So I'm going to pick up 6 green. So now I'm moving the 6 beads down to the end, leaving a tail of about 4 inches. Okay, then I'm going to, again, I'm doing a 2-drop brick stitch, but I start mine with 2 rows. So I'm going to take the 6 beads, and then you're going to go down, back through the first 2 beads, and you're going to hold the piece on all the beads and then pull the string down. Oops. When you pull this down, essentially it starts 2 beads in the base row and 1 in the second row. Or I should say 2 rows and then 1 for the next. Okay, now I'm going to pick up 2 more beads, green or whatever your pattern is. Okay, now I'm going to go back through. What I usually do for some smaller pieces though, before I do that, is make sure they're kind of adjusted and not too wonky. Okay, and then I'm going to tie a knot here. This is essentially going to be the tail thread, which I will weave in using tension later on. But the first starting row is always difficult, and since I do 2 rows at once with this technique, it's easier to tie a knot there so it isn't as loose, and then the weaving tightens up the project. Okay, so now I have that with my knot. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up the 2 beads as planned before, and they're going to go through here. Okay, now this is what we have. Okay, I'm going to add another 2 beads, so I'm actually working this section here. So far we have the 2 bottom rows, and then an additional brick stitch row here. Okay, so I'm going to put and go back up. Okay, like that. Okay, that's what you have. Now the next row requires a red, and the red is on the top. So I'm going to pick up a green first. I'm sorry, I'm picking up a red first, and then a green. Okay, and then going back down through these 2. Okay, this is essentially doing all of the under the bridge, which we'll do in the next row, but this is building the piece independently of that. Okay, next 2 green. Now I'm going to go up through those 2, and then pull the string through. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to move this out of the way, but this is knotted, so it's completely safe. None of the beads are going to come off there. I'm going to give it a gentle pull so that the tension stays pretty good there. Okay, now I'm going to do 2 more green, and we're going to go back down. See, that's what we're doing right there, or rather this way. I'm going to do 2 more twos of greens, and then I have to do a green and a red. It's my dog snoring in the background, sorry. Go up, give a little tug for tension. Oops. And then back down. Okay, that's what we have so far. I'm going to film the next little bit on hyperlapse, and then when we get to the end, and we're going to go on to the 3rd row of 2-drop brick stitch. I'm going to pick up 4 more green, okay, and then I'm not going to go under the 1st bridge. I'm descending, so I'm going to go under the 2nd bridge here with the 4 beads, starting a row. Okay, I'm going to go under the bridge, going to pull my needle through. Okay, and then you just want to make a little adjustment there so that they have the 2 rows. And I'm going to go back through under the bridge and back through the inner row. Okay, pull that through. Sorry, it's hard to show on camera. Okay, when you do that, you're starting a row, and that's going to come together a little bit better, and then you're going to reinforce by taking your needle and going back down through the outer row. Just straight through, not under the thread bridge again. Okay, so we just went down there, and then you're going to go back up, essentially reinforcing these 2 rows. Once this is completed, the row will start pulling together in a much more uniform manner. Okay, then we're going to be able to continue across with a standard 2-drop brick stitch, which is just picking up 2 and going under the thread bridge. So you're going with the needle under the bridge string. Going to pull that through and let that settle in. Okay. Then you're going to go back up, creating a loop around the bridge. It's essentially weaving the rows together. I'm just seeing that this looks a little off here. It's tilted up and not in a straight up and down. So what I usually do is just take my needle, put it through there for a sec and straighten it, and then remove it. Make sure as you go along you keep an even tension. Okay. The next row requires a red and a green. Pick up the red. Okay. Make sure you occasionally move your tail string out of the way. Pick up a red and a green. Okay, then again I'm going to go under the bridge. Pull. Then go back up. Okay, so now I've completed a majority of the project. This is 11 rows across, and now I'm at the top part here. There are 3 in this row, and what I'm going to do is put on the wire guard and put on the wire guard and also 2 more rows of 2, attach the wire guard, and then I'm going to head down through and then finish these 3, and then I'm going to go back over here and meet up with this, probably tie another knot and then use tension so that the fishing line, beading thread, whatever you use will disappear in this area. So I'm going to pick up 4. Okay, and then this is still technically a first row, so I'm going to skip the first bridge and go to the second bridge. I'm going to go under there. And these 2 have to be set here, so I'm going to go back up. Oops. I have to go through 1 and 2. I missed a bead. Hold on. 1 and 2. Now normally in the first row it would go, oops, okay, so I missed, well, I caught the thread bridge, but it went too far over, so I just have to correct that. I'm just going to pull my needle back and then adjust it so it goes in the center, not off to the side. That's something that can happen with small. You're working with a small area. See, it caught the outside of that. And I'm going to push it back in. I'm going to open it again. Make sure both sides are not on the outside of that bridge there. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that normal. Okay, so now technically I'm supposed to go down and reinforce this, but I'm also adding on the wire guard right now, so that would make that pretty thread heavy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the wire guard part of my reinforcement. Oops. So I'm going to go through the wire guard. Sorry, I'm working through the camera. Okay, and then I'm going to bring that down. Okay, so that it's, oops. Okay. So now I have the 2 rows. One is reinforced. I went back up and through the wire guard. Now I'm going to go down through the wire guard and also to reinforce. Okay, I don't know if you can, there. So I usually go through the wire guard twice. Okay, you want to make sure that goes through there. Okay, now I'm going to work my way down through here, which will add tension and a little bit of more strength to the piece, and then I'm going to add on the Christmas tree, the stump of the tree here. So I'm just going to kind of zigzag my way down here. I've already started. I'm going to make sure that the tail from before is out of the way. Okay, and then I'm going to go work my way over to here, and then go back, and then work my way back through using tension. Okay, now I'm going to work my way down through here, which will add tension and a little bit of more strength to the piece, and then I'm going to add on the Christmas tree, the stump of the tree here. So I'm just going to kind of zigzag my way down here. I've already started. I'm going to make sure that the tail from before is out of the way. Okay, and then I'm going to go work my way over to here, and then go back, and then work my way back through using tension. You can only make so many passes through each set of beads, so okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to pick up three brown, actually 4 brown. Okay, then I'm going to move those down. And then what I'm going to do is skip the bottom bead, go through the top, and then the 2 in the project. And then pull, go down the center part, Okay. I'm going to pick up 4 again. Go down. Okay, I'm going to remove, skip the bottom, go back up through the 3. There's 2 in the bottom row of the piece. Okay, I'm going to go down through 2 again. Pick up 4 again. Okay, I'm going to go down. And then back up. Okay, go through 2, and you can pull them. You can roll them like a fringe so that they adjust a bit more. Clean up these beads a little bit. And then I'm going to show you how I use tension. To finish this piece off. I've already put a knot in here. And actually I'm going to remove my needle. From the working thread. Now this is still open and going, and this piece is knotted. So I left about 4 or 5 inches on here. I'm going to rethread the needle with the tail piece, which is knotted, and I'm just going to bring it up a couple rows. Go in a couple circles. And you want to move around a little bit, especially because I'm using, of course I'm getting caught every time here. Okay. If too much thread goes around the same space, you can start to see it. Okay, so I just went around a few times. Again, this is knotted, so I'm just using the tension to just make this one disappear. Bring it up here. Okay, then I'm going to pull it very tight against the base using my shears, threads, scissors. Okay, now I have this piece left. Now I'm going to rethread my main string. And then what I'm going to do is work this through using tension. Usually I just use tension and a few knots. So now I'm going to go up several rows here. No order, but I'm going to go up. Now I'm going to go down around the same section. Then I'm going to do a knot. Then I'm just going to go up a couple rows here. Make sure you don't skip any beads there. Okay, it's not the best wire guard work I've ever done, but... And then I'm going to pull this taut. And then usually the scissors, getting that close there, makes the wire disappear. You can burn it or tuck it in with the needle if need be. And that's it. Like and subscribe if you like this tutorial. I'm still new at this, so hopefully I'll get better and show better examples. Thank you.